Okay, that was pretty simple. So, defining affordable housing based off of HUD guidelines. The first thing that we really want to focus on when we talk about affordable housing is what exactly is affordable housing, right? So, according to HUD, affordable housing means housing for which the occupant is paying no more than 30% of their gross income for housing costs, and that's including utilities, right? Some of the things that we can focus affordable housing, as far as the standard is concerned, would be rental housing, home ownership, and supportive housing. When we talk about home ownership, we mean for sale product, right? So we mainly want to focus on single family homes, townhomes, detached type of properties. Then when it comes to supportive housing itself, housing that is designed to really kind of house the elderly or the disabled. So there are different metrics and different ways that we term it affordable, but the main gauge that HUD has basically designed for us to kind of go off of when it comes to a rule of thumb is understanding that no more of 30% of your gross income for housing costs, including utilities, is considered affordable based off of HUD guidelines. So why does affordable housing matter, right? The question is, why does affordable housing matter? Well, affordable housing stabilizes families and communities within the areas that we live, work, and play in, right? It reduces homelessness risk throughout the United States of America, and it supports low and moderate income workers, right? So our teachers, our firefighters, those who are in the community that are pillars, our police officers, that are regular workforce housing, that it's very important to make sure that they aren't priced out of the market, that they have a say so in where they want to live and where they want to work and where they want their children to go to school, right? And what it also does is it actually encourages economic mobility. And when we speak about economic mobility, what we mainly want to talk about when it comes to economic mobility is the more affordable housing opportunities that we can create for low and moderate income families, the more opportunity there is inside of that community to create more income to drive inside of that community. The more houses, the more heads and beds, right? The more opportunity for you to go to the grocery store, right? Which then turns into spending money at the grocery store, spending money at the gas station, spending money in the entertainment realm throughout your community, right? So it creates economic mobility that allows each community to grow and prosper, right? The more opportunities that we have to create affordable housing in our communities, the better the opportunity for that community to grow and establish itself. So, what's HUD's role in affordable housing? Right, so HUD defines affordability, it sets income limits and funds programs such as we all know the Section 8 program or the Housing Choice Voucher, which is usually handed down from HUD to the different housing authorities throughout different jurisdictions, throughout the different states and the different municipalities. Public housing, so everything starts from HUD's umbrella and it works its way down to the housing authorities. The housing authorities are usually the foremost experts and also the foremost authority when it comes to housing in the United States. That was the primary responsibility at one point of the housing authority back in I'm kind of history buff, y'all. So back during the Franklin Delano Roosevelt era, the housing authorities came into existence, and the main focus at that point was to be the foremost authority of housing and real estate in the United States of America. So from there, another program that was created was the low income housing tax credit, which is basically the Section 40, the IRS code Section 42, which is a tax credit that is created to supply and create more affordable housing opportunities in the United States of America. And what the low income housing tax credit does is it subsidizes developers of affordable housing to then go and create affordable housing in exchange for tax write-offs, tax credits, and things of that nature. Then you got the Home Investment Partnership Program. And what this is basically a set of funds that were created by HUD to further create more affordable housing opportunities throughout the United States of America. When you see most of the home funds are either allocated to state agencies on the housing authority side, or you'll see them come about in the city and the governmental municipality from the county level. But this is created specifically for the making of more affordable housing opportunities. Just to piggyback a little bit more on the 30% income threshold, as a rule of thumb, a household should spend no more than 30% of its gross monthly income on housing. So for a solid example, I wanted to put one in for you. If the family is earning $4,000 a month, the housing cost should not exceed more than $1,200 a month, right? So that is just a general rule of thumb of understanding the true income threshold of 30%. So if you take your income and divide it by three, it'll give you a better standard of understanding what exactly would be considered affordable housing. Just one more stop, because I see we do have more people coming in again. Just for housekeeping purposes, we ask that you keep your mics muted and also that your camera be off until the end of the presentation, upon which after we'll take questions. So the next thing that I want to discuss with you is how HUD defines the income limits when it comes to affordable housing. One buzzword that we like to hear in the affordable housing community is AMI. And what AMI is, or what it stands for, is the area median income, right? So basically what HUD does is HUD sets a guideline for each individual state and county to determine the area median income based off of that county, based off of a family of four, right? So it's determined based off a family of four, and then also one individual. So for an example, we're located in the DeKalb area of the Atlanta metro area. And based off of HUD's guideline when it comes to the area median income, it says that a family of four in DeKalb County earns about $114,000 a year, right? That is considered our area median income. So from there, what they did is they also added in different thresholds of affordability, right? Determining where your income falls on the income scale when it comes to affordable housing. So the first metric that we really pay attention to is 30% of that area median income, right? So 114,000 being the area median income for our area, 114,000 being the area median income for our area. The extremely low portion of that would be below 30% of the area median income. The next one would be between 31 and 50% of the area median income, and that would be considered very low income based off of HUD standards. Then from there, you've got low income, which is 51 to 80% of the area median income, and then moderate income between 80 and 120%. What would be considered moderate is your workforce housing, your workforce. So like we talked about, your teachers, your police officers, people in the community that are very much pillars of what we do. Those are what you see as far as a moderate income is concerned. Just to give some further examples, like I said, when it comes to the Atlanta, Sandy Springs, Roswell, Georgia metro statistical area, for a family of four, the area median income is at 114,000. So you can see how the numbers kind of work out. 30% of the area median income based off of that is around 28,800, right? So 50% of the area median income is around 48,000. And then 80%, which is the workforce housing, is considered 76,800 on a family of four. What I did also was I wanted to create a table for us to get a better understanding of how that breaks down from now that we understand the different percentages and the thresholds that HUD has used for our guideline. We can have a real life example of understanding what rents look like on the affordability metric based off of HUD's guidelines, and then what those incomes break down to be. So for an example, this is pulled off of Novogradac. Novogradac is the foremost leader in understanding HUD's fair market rents and also their income limits. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. But as you can see, it's the same metrics that we talked about, only a little bit higher based off of the current year. So if we look at one person in the low income, these are basically incomes derived off of HUD's area median income and also the low income tax credit, which HUD is the foremost expert in the guide in creating. So you can look here and see at 50% of the area median income. Now these this is based off of the Atlanta, Sandy Springs metro statistic area. I don't know where everyone is from. So what we'll do is we'll just kind of focus on it just so you can have a better understanding how the affordable rent income tier pretty much works. So at 50% or very low, you see for one person that would be around 40,000. At 60%, you're looking at around 48,000. At 120%, you're looking at 96,000. At 80%, you're looking at around 64,000, right? And as you can see, those numbers kind of grow as the table grows. So what this is good for is showing you a unique example of understanding the guidelines and the metrics on when we start to put projects together as the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority, and we are looking for partners. Our foremost thing that we mainly focus on is creating affordable housing opportunities. So once we start having conversations with you, the first thing that we'll bring up is our mission, which is to create more sustainable and affordable housing in DeKalb County. And what we'll focus on are these metrics. You know, you'll start having conversations with me or conversations with my executive director. And then what we'll do is we will talk to you about having permanent affordability on some of these properties. And then we'll start having conversations with you about the area median income. How does your project fit into the thresholds of the rents, right? We'll start talking about the different set asides that we've come up with, right? Whether it be 40% of the project at 60% of the AMI, right? For one person, right? Or we want 50% of the project at 80% of the AMI, right? So we'll begin to start having those conversations. So it's very vital and important that we go over this just so that you can understand affordability a little bit more and how it's defined via HUD. So when we talk about some of the different affordable housing programs by HUD, as we talk, you've got the housing choice voucher, which basically says that the tenant pays up to 30% of the income and HUD pays the rest, right? So when we put up to there, sometimes you have different scenarios with the voucher to where based off of the fair market rent guidelines, and I want to show that to you. If you look here, this is the fair market rent based off of the different bedroom sizes that HUD has determined for that area to be fair market rent when it comes to being affordable, right? And you can base it simply off of the different income thresholds, right? So this is sub 60% of the area median income. This is sub 50% of the area median income. This is sub 120 and sub 80, right? Again, I just want to make a quick house keeping rule that we ask that you keep all mics muted until the end of the presentation and keep all cameras off. And then once the presentation is over, we'll open the room and the floor for questions. So the next portion that we want to talk about is public housing, right? And what this is basically government-owned income-based rent. So the public housing portion is the same as the housing choice voucher, which the housing choice voucher is just a program handed down from funding to HUD to the different municipalities from the housing authority side. And this is usually done from a jurisdictional standpoint. There are some housing authorities that are larger that get a larger percentage of the funding that HUD allocates to each housing authority. So public housing is what we know as, supportive housing that's created specifically by the different housing authorities. One that is a particular stickler to me that I really want to focus on is the low income housing tax credit. And I kind of stay here for a minute because this is very important. The low income housing tax credit housing is what we talked about, which is a section 42 of the IRS code that focuses on creating affordable housing opportunities by creating a tax credit that is then sold to a developer in order for them to create affordable housing, right? Or develop affordable housing. Most people they don't have an understanding that the low income housing tax credit product exists, but there is housing available for individuals that is based off of the income table that we talked about a little bit earlier in the presentation that are set based off a certain guideline, right? And certain rents. So for an example, there may be apartment complex that look luxury, that are luxury, but they have a certain minimum set aside of low income housing tax credit units. This is important because there may be individuals looking for housing that may qualify at 60% or 50% of the area median income that can get into these properties. There's a lack of knowledge, right? And people perish from a lack of knowledge. So what we want to do is we want to focus on educating you, giving you the right tools to then make the decisions to go and find some of this housing, or also create this housing, because we definitely need more of it. As far as the home program is concerned, this is a specific one that focuses, like I said, from a jurisdictional and municipality standpoint, that focuses on rental or home ownership. Most of the time when you see the home loan, you'll see municipalities kind of divvy this out to create affordable housing, but it's more so on for sale product. And the reason why it's more so on for sale product is because it's a lending tool that is usually it has a low rate, but it does have to be paid back. In some scenarios, it can be forgiven, but most of the time, this is a loan tool. So the states and the cities and the counties use this tool, and they use it as a form of a loan. So you see that mostly on the for sale products. So some of the misconceptions that we all hear about affordable housing, and I'm here to break that for you. It's only for unemployed people. That is 100% incorrect. Most of it is for working families. It's for working class families. Most people in America, just to be transparent and for us to understand this fact, sit somewhere between the 60% and the 80% area median income in most of the United States of America, right? That's just the average income. Right now, I believe the average income for an individual household in America is sitting somewhere in the ballpark around between 40 and 60 grand, give or take. So most of the time when we talk about affordable housing, there's a stigma about affordable housing. And one is it's only for unemployed people. That's 100% incorrect. It brings down property values. That's 100% incorrect also. And the reason being is because, as we talked about with some of the low income housing tax credit properties, they are actually luxury properties, right? They're properties that have wonderful amenities. They have dog parks and all of these fancy bells and whistles that actually bring the property value up. Another thing that you need to understand when we talk about the property values when it comes to affordable housing is most of the time you won't even know if the property is considered or deemed affordable housing or not, right? It's just a stigma that was created a long time ago, that we seek here at the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority to debunk, to get rid of. So that's why we're here to educate you. Now, what it does do, it actually serves working families, right? It actually serves seniors. It actually serves veterans and essential workers, right? It houses our nurses. It gives us the opportunity to reach out for our seniors as they age in place, to give them a solid solution for their housing as they begin to age in place. So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some of our application requirements here if you do decide to work with the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority. First and foremost, you want to be able to select your interested site, right? You want to focus on some of the sites that we do have available for partnership. Then you want to apply through our website. You want to complete your application. You want to make sure that your application is thoroughly complete. We only focus on all of the applications that are thoroughly completed, all right? So the reason why I wanted to put that in there is because we cannot accept incomplete applications. You'll be turned around at the door. So we ask that you complete your application to its fullest. Then the next thing that will come directly to me, and I have that conversation with my executive director, is the fact that you must have concrete plans from the standpoints of a concept plan and scope of work, right? So we have to be able to see the vision the way that you see the vision. We have to be able to understand exactly the plan that you have for the site or for the property. So the best way to do that is by giving us a concept plan. And we ain't talking about nothing super expensive, right? We don't need you to go out and spend the last check on creating something, but just to give us a roadmap to see your future vision for those plans, right? The next thing would be an itemized budget of the project. Again, this is something that doesn't have to be 100% concrete, but what we do need to see is your ability, right, to be able to make the numbers work. Whether it's from an affordable standpoint, whether it's from a market rate standpoint, just a solid gauge on understanding the budget of your project, right? We can't have you out here doing $200 million projects that you don't have a $200 million budget for the project. It makes sense, right? If the numbers don't pencil, that's just something that we cannot do. Then we want to talk about your financing commitments, right? Or proof of funds, right? We have to be able to see that you have the financial wherewithal to be able to get the project done, right? So that is a very, very important piece of going through some of the application requirements with us, right? Then we like to see proof of prior project experience. I want to make it very clear. Us as a agency, we are open to working with smaller developers, first-time developers. But what we would like to see is you have some form of knowledge or prior experience or somebody on your team with the experience of being able to get the project done, as far as showing a similar product for what we look for on the development side. Then we also, you cannot have delinquent property taxes on some of your own real estate, right? So you have to be in compliance with some of the real estate that you currently own and hold. So those are some of the application requirements that we have in order to partner with us here at the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority. And I'm excited to start to really kind of gauge with y'all that are interested in creating affordable housing here in DeKalb County. Some of the challenges that we face, right, in the affordability realm is rising housing costs, right? So that's all over the United States of America. Honestly, it's all over the world, right? Rising housing costs is the number one issue that we all face, right? It's a blessing, but it's also a curse, right? Because we want to be able to keep things affordable so that our working class families, so that our very low income and low to moderate income families can have an opportunity to have housing as well. Another thing is stagnant wages, right? So the cost of housing is rising, but the checks ain't keeping up with them, right? So we have to battle the fact that there are stagnant wages along with rising housing costs, right? Another thing that we talk about is limited housing supply. The reason why there is limited housing supply is because there's a limit on the price of, there's not a limit on the price of construction, but there is a high cost of construction at this point in time due to a high cost of material, right? From the high cost of material and the high cost of construction based off of a high cost of labor, it will then create a rise in housing costs, right? That's the portion um, of going through housing. That's one of the biggest issues that we deal with. Another issue that we deal with in most of our communities is zoning restrictions, right? Based off of different laws that were created at a certain point in time in the United States of America that restrict some of the housing that or some of the square footage. We had a conversation this morning actually about one of the issues that we face here in our county from one of the zoning requirements that says that the minimum square footage on a lot size for the floor plate of the house has to be 1,700 square feet plus, right? And the argument is that in today's day and age, based off of some of the uniformity of some of the properties around it, 1,200 to 1,400 square feet is very doable, and it should be done, right? And that is a big argument right now in our jurisdiction. So zoning restrictions play a big issue. It creates a big issue and also create affordable housing, right? Because the larger the square footage on the house, the more the cost. Then the last one, which is not my favorite, and I don't think it's any developer's favorite, which is NIMBY. NIMBYism. What does NIMBY stand for? It's not in my backyard. Sometimes there is a stigma of affordable housing that it will create issues of crime, issues of more poverty, issues in our community. So you'll have people who simply do not want to have affordable housing in their community based off of that. So they simply say, not in my backyard. You know, you'll see people who say no just because no is the most exciting word that they like to say. So that's kind of something that we deal with also is NIMBYism in the affordable housing arena. So just to conclude, HUD defines affordable housing, like we talked about, at below 30% of your household income, at or below 30% of your household income. Affordable housing development supports community stability and equity, right? It gives equity to those and creates access to those who may not have substantial amounts of income, right? Who may not have substantial inheritance to be able to enter in communities for the safety of their children, right, for the good education of their children, for the access to better food, right? The access to better transportation. Affordable housing is essential to address most of our local housing needs, right? So most of the issues don't come from a national level, right? Most of it is what we deal with on a day-to-day basis at our local planning and zoning boards, right? So how can you get out and be a focal point in your community is going to, your zoning board of approval, showing up to most of the zoning meetings. And instead of being an NIMBY, you can turn out and be a person that really focuses on trying to progress your municipality forward. So I advise you to do that. I stress that it is very important that we first understand what exactly affordable housing is. Now, what we will do is we'll open this up to questions and discussions, but I did create questions that I wanted to really kind of focus on first before we did open it up for questions, right? So, how is affordability defined in your community, right? And what we'll do at this time is we'll open the mics up, and what we'll do is if you could start by raising your hand, and we want to keep this an open discussion, right? So I don't want to just sit here and lecture you like the principal, because that ain't me, but if we could start just from a housekeeping perspective by first please raising your hand, and then you can just kind of answer that question. How is affordable housing defined in your community? If anyone is interested in answering the question based off of what you think. All hearts and minds clear. Okay, well, that's good. Perfect. So for me, I'll answer that question, right? So affordability is defined based in my community off of uh, we talk about 30%. Most of the time, what you'll hear is landlords, whether it's on the market rate side or whether it's on the affordable side, they specifically say that you must make 3 times the monthly rent. What they're doing is they're saying that we have determined that you are able to afford your rent based off of HUD's guidelines that they give us to then say that this rent is affordable. All right, it's a rule of thumb that most landlords are using, and they don't even know that they're using it. Right, it has just become so common and so accepted to say must make 2 to 3 times the monthly rent. So that's kind of one. Then the next question was, what role can local governments and developers play? Right, anybody want to answer based off of what we talked about today? Y'all just scared.
DaVonte, I'll jump in to say what a local government can do. Local governments can alter and adjust zoning restrictions to
Right.
allow the development community to build more homes at a more affordable price, smaller homes at affordable prices. So that's one of the ways they can contribute.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Nick. By the way, that's my executive director, everyone, that was able to come in and join the webinar. So right now, what I will do is I will stop sharing this, and I will open up the floor for any questions from anybody in the audience before we shut this thing down. Do we have any questions? If you do, I ask that you please raise your hand, and we will acknowledge you, and we'll get your question answered.
If you are a little bit camera shy and do have a question, if you would like to enter it in the chat box, we'll take questions in the chat.
Perfect.
Well, if there are no questions, I would assume that DaVonte did an excellent job explaining it and that, that he left nothing, no stone unturned in his explanation of how affordable housing is defined by HUD or how we here at DeKalb Regional Land Bank expect developers and the community to communicate their desire to develop affordable housing on land bank property in their applications. So it seems like he's made all that clear. I see Susan.
Yeah.
Are
Sorry.
do you have a question?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm on the city of Clarkston City Council, and this is an important issue for us. We have had a number of developments through the tax incentive program built in Clarkston.
Mhm.
These have come, I think, directly from the state's program, and they are 100% affordable housing versus a percentage of. So, I've got a couple questions. Can you explain how your program differs from the state's? I'm assuming it's all HUD money, but I do know that the state has one that has different percentages, et cetera. So, can you explain that, please?
Yes, ma'am, sure. So what we do at the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority is we do set most of our affordability metrics based off of HUD's guidelines. So our metrics would be similar to most states' metrics. What we try to do is notice I want to let you know, try to do is focus anywhere between 60 to 120% of the area median income, but all of it is basically project based, right? So most of it is basically project based. Um, so when it comes to the affordability factor on the individual project itself, uh, depending on what the project is. So let's say, for an example, if it's a single family home, then of course we would expect 100% of it to be affordable, right? Because it would be for one family, right? So, but let's say, for an example, if we did a multifamily development, right, here at the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority, then our focus would then be either a certain set aside, or we can have the whole project deemed affordable, right? So we have the ability, due to the fact that we're quasi-governmental, to change the different metrics or change our focus on the type of affordable housing and the set aside for affordable housing that we want, depending on the project. Does that answer your question?
Yes, and if a developer came to you with a proposal,
Mhm.
would they, for multifamily, would they have a higher likelihood of getting approved if it were 100% affordable versus a certain set aside?
So what we look at, it's a site by site basis, right? So what we look at is the project. It's a project by project basis too. What we look at, of course, our number one goal is to create more sustainable and affordable housing, right? But what we do is we look at the best use of the property, right? The best use of the property for that specific project. So to answer the question, I don't mean to sound like an attorney, but it just depends.
Okay.
Yes.
Um, the other thing, uh, and I don't mean to criticize the use of the term NIMBY,
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
uh, but it's a pretty loaded term. And
Mhm.
my experience uh, in government and as an elected official is that it tends to shut down debate because I have found that it's not often that you have citizens who are simply an absolute no, despite any proposal or any conditions or any negotiations.
Mhm.
But if you want a good debate about how affordable housing can work in a community, then it needs to be open. And you know, calling using the term NIMBY puts people immediately on the defensive who want to ask real questions
Mhm.
and get valid answers or have their concerns shared. And I have seen this in action, and people just feel shut down. Um, there's another term that's more widely used, not in our community. I hope it doesn't catch on. Cave people. Citizens Against Virtually Everything. I don't know if you've heard that.
That'll be my new term from now on, cave people.
Cave people. So let's not popularize that.
Okay.
But I think a term that says neighborhood concerns or community concerns would be something that would acknowledge that people do have concerns.
Absolutely.
Because housing for most people is their biggest investment, but allows them to speak their concerns without feeling like they have been labeled as totally against something.
Absolutely.
And so I just offer that perspective on the term NIMBY.
Absolutely. Well, we definitely appreciate your feedback, Ms. Susan, and we look forward to working with you. We have one more question down in the chat from Ms. Glover. Ms. Glover asks, do you have a program for first-time home developers? So we don't specifically have a program for first-time home developers, Ms. Glover, but we are interested and we are capable of working with first-time home developers. So I do want to just kind of let you know that currently we do not have a program set aside for first-time home developers. I got my executive director there, and you just gave me an idea. So maybe that's something that we will focus on in the future. But as far as right now, I do want to let it be known that we are open to working with first-time home developers. Of course, you still have to fill out the complete application. The development does have to make sense, right? We want to focus on the best choice and then the best opportunity for the sites that we have available. So just to land a plane on that, yeah, we're interested in working with first time home.
Okay, so
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm Tia Glover. I put that question in the chat. I couldn't get off the mic. I couldn't find where I could raise my hand for that. Just quickly, I just wanted to know if it's you or if it's someone else that maybe I could schedule just maybe a one-on-one just to find if you don't have that in place, that is fine, but you could offer advice or, tips on what to do, what to package up. If I'm interested in my company becoming a part of your community in developing affordable housing, because I'm definitely an advocate for it, but just don't know the right avenue, what to do first.
Sure. No, absolutely. You can email me at, let me know when you're ready. If you have
I'm ready.
It's DLEE@drlba.org. And what we can do is we can set up some time to have that conversation, like I said, about our development requirements and the things that we kind of look for in a healthy application. If I'm able to help you, then that's good. And we also have our assistant program administrator, Ms. Shirley. She can kind of be looped in as well to kind of help you on the program side. If that is something that, my executive director does deem in the near future for us to really kind of focus on and just kind of harp on. So we'll start with me and I'll see if I can help you the best that I can. And if I just ain't knowledgeable, then we're going to have to pass you on to somebody else, but we'll make sure we get you taken care of.
Thank you.
No problem. The next question is from Mr. Truitt. Is it a must that properties must be connected to public sewer and water? With us, some of our sites that we have just kind of in our inventory, we try to find properties that are already tapped into the sewer and water portion. But you do need to, and this is just from a advice standpoint, you do need to check with the local municipality and also DeKalb County to make sure that it does have sewer and water. And if not, then what would it cost as far as tap and impact fees to be able to get that done? So you would just have to kind of look through our inventory and our inventory varies. I hope that answers your question. All right, the time is 12:40. If we don't have any more questions, I'll just give it just a minute just to make sure that I'm not missing any. Oh, I see one. We got one We've got from DCGA, what input will the community have in the process of building the project? That's a great question. So for us, what we do is we focus on basically guiding you and partnering with you on the development. One guideline that we do set, or one, I wouldn't call it a guideline, but what we try to do is we try to get you to engage with the community. Like for an example, there's a project on a site that we currently have that we're working with a cohort that we've asked them to go out and engage the community to make sure that what they're asking to put on this specific site won't be a problem with the community. So of course, we're community based. So what we want you to do, or what we try to encourage you to do, is to actually reach out to the community, start having open dialogue and conversations with them to make sure that your interest aligns with their interest, right? And we're just your partner to help facilitate that, but that gap or that bridge would fall on your shoulders. I think that is it with questions. So at this time, I want to thank everyone for taking some time out of your busy day to jump on this webinar and learn about affordable housing and some of the different unique opportunities that we have here at the DeKalb Regional Land Bank Authority to create affordable housing and to partner with you. I would ask that you reach out and look on our website to learn a little bit more about us. You can check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and some of our other social media platforms to stay informed with some of the happenings that we have happening over here at the land bank. We're currently growing, and just a quick thing to look out for also on the website and some of our Facebook pages is we currently have a property that we have listed for sale that we are accepting bids on. The address is 2003 Hilda Burns, and it's located in the Lithonia area. It's 2003 Hilda Burns Place in Lithonia. And I'm sure I can put it down in the chat, or someone will put it down in the chat, but we will have an open house for this property this coming Friday between the hours of 12 and 2. You can come out and come shake hands with me and see my smiling face, because I will be there. And along with the other parties of my team and our team, and we look forward to kind of having you come out and seeing if that is something that you might be interested in, acquiring and going through the process with us. We are opening up the application for it, and we look forward to being able to partner with you. Again, thank you all for taking times out of your busy day to come and have this conversation and also get your questions answered about affordable housing. It's a great day in DeKalb County, and we look forward to partnering with you. Everyone have a great day.
You too.